Hello everyone. I'm going to try my hand at longer form content recorded all the way in March, so God only knows when this project's going to be completed. But I'm going to try to go from the start of a project to the end of a project for more continuity instead of introducing a rig to you guys and then it get put on the shelf for 2 months and then you forget I own it and then I'm like, oh hey, I finally put a body on it. I got another Ascent 18. This time it is the Scout 2 version. Over here on the shelf I have the regular Ascent 1/18 scale. I love this truck. It's amazing. Right out of the box. All I have done to it is wheels and tires. Love this truck. So much so, I bought a second one. But there are projects being done with both of these trucks. But today, mostly what we're going to worry about is this. I love how neatly packaged that was. Everything just came out in one big block. That's cool. Let us get the zip ties off. Set that to the side for a second. Prop this guy up on a tire. Bam! Get the stance right. First impressions out of the box. You know me and green. I gotta have my green stuff. That is purty. Even after all of this, I can't get rid of the body. You know, I will be doing a project on this thing, tearing it down and building it completely up. I may just have to buy a third chassis and put this back on it. Got little details like the stickers for the door handles and the little slide for the window. And got Red Cat logos everywhere. Can't mistake who made this. Oh, there's a plastic insert here for the tailgate with your small license plate. Nice slim bumpers. They're slim enough for scale. Taking a slight peek under the skirt, you see that there are lights built into these headlights. And I believe, yep, it has tail lights as well. That's awesome. Getting to the wheels and tires. Wasn't exactly sold on the chrome, seeing everyone else's videos on this thing, but actually seeing it in person and holding it in my hand, it's not too bad. It goes well with the stock look. If I was keeping it stock, I wouldn't quite be so put off by it. As far as everything else, it is basic Ascent 18 stuff. Portal axle housings, Hexfly servo. Body has a twist clip back here and then pops forward and off. And you've got a brush motor, 2-in-1 ESC, and oil-filled shocks. I absolutely love how these 18 scales come with the battery included. And a new thing on this chassis in particular is that there's a light kit, and I like that the light kit is disconnectable, so I can just take the body and set it to the side. Another difference over the regular 18th scale is the chassis continues out to give it more of a rear bumper instead of chopping it off here and having just amazing departure angle. Here's the remote, basic remote from FlySky originally, rebranded for Red Cat use. I am a weirdo and like these radios. I'm not a fan of plastic wheels, but for what it is as an 18th scale, it's serviceable for the small stuff to where it doesn't bother me. But we need to get back to foam wheels, guys. This BS with plastic wheels is getting to be unacceptable nowadays. This is 2025. Come on. I know I'm shouting into the wind on that. I mean, look at Traxxas and their radios. Then, I don't remember this from my Ascent, but you get a manual. Couldn't tell you where my manual for the Ascent 18 is, though. not much for a manual, but it lets you know the general operations of things. And I guess if you want more in-depth, there's a QR code right there. Pull out the charger, and we're going to plug this in immediately because I want to do a little bit of driving stock before I completely tear this thing to shreds. And take the battery, plug these little prongs face up into that void, and also, last but not least, you get extra body mounting hardware if you want to run a different body on this chassis. So what is the project? Project is this. I live right down the road from SeaWorld, and I went in there and saw this and another truck and instantly thought of the small scale guys. And my limited self-control had me pick up all of it, the whole set. And when I got home, got even more excited because the wheelbases are extremely close, but they're not quite 100%. So going back to previous shopping trips, astute viewers will know I bought TRX4M link sets. And what I plan to do is take the rear link set, which is longer, and put them front and rear in hopes of getting the desired wheelbase that I want. Because also, to show you the other body, I'm building two. Now, I'm deciding this one first because there is a boat and trailer that goes with it, and I will be building the box truck in the background. But that is all to lay a groundwork for just what I want to do with this project and where it's going to go. While this battery tops off, I'm going to cannibalize this toy. Couple of things to note. I got the body off. Boom, done, project done. No, seriously. Got the body off, but there's a couple of things I didn't know. It had lights and sounds, but we won't have lights and sounds. Now I need to figure out where the little button for the lights and sounds fell out. It's around here somewhere, but I'll need to fix that. Yeah, I didn't even turn this on, so I didn't know any of that. There's also a little light up here. Also, I learned the grill comes off separately, and it has built-in light buckets, so that's cool. Maybe not only get the little siren light to go off, but put the grill back in and get the light buckets wired up. That would be awesome. But also, my main concern is just trying to find a way to chop off the rear shock towers so it can sit as flat as possible on this bed. Because I'd also like to maybe chop out the seat area and put it back in as best as I can. But this is all work in progress. This is all pre-planning early in the video just to see where we want to start taking this. So since the battery is still charging, what I'm going to do is go through basic free mods that you can do to this platform. Number one is going to be shock placement. So I can take these shocks and lay them all the way back here. And then I'm not going to worry about the rear. I'm not going to worry about the rear at the moment, because the other thing that I remember doing was trimming the edges off of this battery tray to save weight. It can probably be 3D printed, but let me place this on here real quick just to do some looking. Yes, these sliders are going to be huge. I will keep them around just in case, but these sliders are going to be huge on here. So I believe there are probably 3D printable files for narrower sliders for this little guy. A thing I also didn't realize, and no one really talks about, there are adjustable shock positions on the stock skid for this Ascent. Huh, I didn't even know that. You can essentially be like a link riser and take this screw and put it in this upper hole and make a link riser. I'll be damned. I might have to try that on this guy. Yeah, it's on this guy too. Well, I'll be damned. The only thing they don't give you is 4 AA's. Pop those in real quick. Turn this on and hit the power button. These Red Cats are picky about what order you do things in. If you plug it in and turn it on and then turn the battery on, or then turn the remote on, it doesn't like that. Let's go to the living room. I would love to drive it on this messy desk, but we're gonna go somewhere a lot cleaner. I had to make sure the lights were on. Oh, we're getting bound up in the excess of the blanket. I'm trying to get up this pillow before I get... There we go. You can get over here. And then we're going to side hill a little bit on the ramen packet. And then we're going to try and get up and over these blue pillows. Let's try that again. It's always been crazy to me how similar these are to the 110s in driving style. You think going this small you would lose some driving feel, but it's amazing what these things will do and how they feel when you drive them. I will say Red Cat's brushed ESC 2-in-1 is like the bare minimum of what you would tolerate for electronics on these things. As far as the servo goes, I have no complaints. If I change it out, I might keep it and put it in something else that's less serious. Ah. Caught up in the blanket again. Got some punch. It's also got that slow crawl. Damn it. Didn't even think I'd make it up there. Okay, let's cut it off here before I start making a pillow fort and get in trouble. So that's where I'm going to leave it for today. I got the basic outline, did a unboxing, and tweaked it a little bit, and got a game plan for going forward. Maybe in the next video, I'll mess with the links to try to get the wheelbase further. And if I'm feeling froggy, I'll cut the rear of the frame to see if I can get this body to sit on this chassis better. But I'd still like to run this while I'm using it, take to events and stuff like that. So it's tentative right now. But I may throw the link set on there to extend the wheelbase longer, and then go run it at an event just to see how that wheelbase does before I rip the body off and start cutting the frame and fully utilizing this body. So I'll leave it there for now for today, and see you further in the future. It's been like 30 seconds in the future, and I can't leave well enough alone. So I'm gonna go ahead and put the links on like I want to, and I will also probably also cut the interior plate out and potentially maybe try to secure it back in the vehicle. We'll see how far we get. So I want to take the longer of the links out of this set. Let's work on the rear just for now. I'm just taking things apart just to jack around. If you look close, you will see that link is longer than the stock link. So let's start taking stuff apart. To show you a better representation, this is the TRX4M and this is the Red Cat link. So now astute viewers will see that this pivot ball is a lot smaller than this one. At the moment, I do not care about slop in there. We can cross that bridge when we get there. From what I understand, there are solutions for it, but like I said, I just want proof of concept at the moment. I want to put this in here preemptively just to see what it's going to do to my upper link. That's going to destroy that geometry, so let me go ahead and take those out as well. I like the way that sits a lot more. Okay, so now I'm going to have to do the same thing to the front, and I'll just go ahead and cut it here and fast forward to when I already have that done. We are a crap ton longer, so much so that my front servo is now crashing with the stock body mount. I plan on remedying that later because I'm probably going to not need that for this body, but just preliminarily putting it on there, we are a crap ton closer than we were. So let me also put the tires back on so we can get a better clue of how this is going to look. Okay, we got the wheels and tires back on. Yeah, I think that's gonna line up. It really is bothering me I can't set it all the way down, but I'll live with it for now. Yeah, that looks like it's gonna line up really, really well. So now, as a quick aside, I want to get this body and see how it's gonna look, because this one looks like it's even longer. Now that's really, really close. If not, I mean, I can chop those little wheel wells off and call it good. But now, enough goofing around. Let me get into the chassis, because there's a couple of things I need to go over. Quite honestly, I recommend trying to do this. This is cool as hell, stretching this little 18 scale this much. Super awesome. I'm super curious about how this is going to do. But also, first things first, I did not use all of the Traxxas rod ends from the rear on here because of pinion angle. If you use this, it will just kick it to the sky. So if you look closely on the Red Cat, I have no clue how that's showing up on camera, but there's a little letter on these ends. That one says D. I took the C length rods that were originally on the front lowers and put them as the uppers, and it gave me the right pinion angle. But you can also see that my drive shaft is a bit short. If I can find a rear and put it up here, that should be perfect. I am also crashing into this front bumper mount, this front body hinge, but also if you look, if I took that off, I would just start crashing into the frame. So I might lop that little bit off. Now here in the rear, you can tell, of course, I'm crashing into these super tall shock towers. Like I said, I'm super tentative on cutting that yet, because like I said, I'd like to, let me actually do that real quick. I want to try to run this at an event with the stock body still on, and then just go around pretending nothing's wrong, and people are like, what are you driving? What are you talking about? The Red Cat Ascent, dude. You never seen a Red Cat Ascent? Oh, that's kind of stealth wealth right there. Yeah, you can tell something's up, but it's not immediately apparent. Yeah, that would be super fun. I mean, it will suck in the front, not having any flex or articulation. The rear can jump around. I mean, I would mostly trail this anyway. But last here, I think I'm gonna cut out the interior piece here, but I can also do that off camera. So as of right now, I'll cut the camera off after this productive little session, and hopefully at the end of all this I can clean all this up and look better on the next time you see me. So I'll see everyone in the future again. Holy crap, did I make a mess on all of this. Let me clean this up real quick. Okay, look, I know things wouldn't get as messy if I just put things back where they go. I was quite into this project of these little red cats, and to show you just how into it I got, here is my Ascent 18 that I am kind of prototyping where I want to take both of these hard body builds. I still do have the Scout 2 in its stretched wheelbase form, but we'll go over some differences of what I'm doing, what I'm thinking, and what the game plans are. I'll pull this up to the front and we'll kind of do a side-by-side comparison. Okay, first things first, I cut off the front mount where the body hinge mount is. The reason that is because if you set these shocks where they're supposed to go in the front, it will collide with that body hinge mount. So what I ended up doing was cutting that off, but also for better shock placement and travel, I drilled a hole in between the rail and the shock mounts and put my shock there. It's quite good now. I really like the front. The rear is a different story, but we'll get to that. And I'll have to show you this on the Scout, the stretching of the front will make your drive shafts fall out. So you have to use a rear drive shaft, not only in the rear, but also in the front. Getting back into this, the main difference that I have seen on the Scout versus the original Ascent 18, these little ball studs back in here do not have a pass-through. So when you try to pry them off with a screwdriver or needle nose pliers, they break off. By any means possible, if you plan on doing any work to your Ascent 18, try to find a way to get these rod ends for your shocks before you do it. Electronics are still tentative because a small update is I picked up the Hobbywing Mini 24. I still have yet to take this out and install it in a vehicle. I was planning on putting it in this 124th, because you know, a brushless system that's branded Mini 24, you would think would go into a 24 scale, but it doesn't. But that will be a next video that I will tear into this and install it in here. As far as the servo as well, I plan on just keeping that as it is. Moving that out of the way, we get to the battery tray area and the rear shocks. The easiest part of this build is putting all of the TRX4M rear links in the rear. It just falls together like it was meant to be. Almost like Red Cat needs to build a crew cab Ascent 18. That would be awesome. To fit some of the bodies that I want to work with, I have to cut these rear shock towers out, and it lets it sit really, really pretty on the chassis. Get my hand out of the way so you can see. Makes it sit really, really pretty on the chassis. But this body is hell on this chassis. I mean, I set it on and it just no suspension travel. As a better representation, we'll set the single cab on here. And as you can see, yes, it just sits beautifully on these rails. So I will be doing that to the Scout chassis at some point in time. But for now, I want to get this kind of like as a running prototype for what I want to do with these hard bodies. There is a event coming up in Simi Valley on the 22nd that I would like to have both of these projects semi-done by. But this is just a little Sunday update on my progress. Oh, also, I did some body work to the cab over here. There was a black plastic bumper that hung down like this far. I just simply cut that off. And also, to make it fit better within here, I had to trim a little bit of the back of the cab to make it sit where it needs to, which is like right there. But I'm almost wondering if I shouldn't put this on the Scout cab with the extended chassis to help support some of this box weight. And then put the single cab on this guy. But continuing on, I've totally got sidetracked. Continuing on with the rear shocks and the links, when I cut the rear shock towers off, I wasn't liking placing the shocks on the frame itself. It just jacked the rear end up into the sky for no reason, and I didn't like how it looked. And finally, I took the rear shock towers that I cut off and screwed them in where this battery tray goes, and used the leftover holes to screw in the shocks right past where the frame is. And it's not perfect, but it's suitable. I don't want to lay them down too much because then the shocks just won't work and it'll just collapse in the rear and I'll be riding a wheelie the whole time. I like a firm rear. Take that as you will. Yeah, but that's what I did with the rear and the rear shock towers and why that looks like that. I'd ultimately like I said, I'm putting the Mini 24th Hobby Wing in here, and I'd ultimately like to put the ESC in this little cage and then put the battery up here. But that is my progress on this Saturday morning. And then next video when we come back, we will be testing the electronic system and maybe even have a body mount system for this guy as I try to get it together for the Simi Valley Little Guy Racing's Parts crawl. So I hope you all enjoyed this update on this little build. Something just doesn't look right. Hold on. There we go. Much better. Just got to get the rest of the wheels switched off of this thing. Okay, I'm getting closer and closer to having this where I like it. But for now, we're going to tear into this. This, ladies and gentlemen, is the Hobby Wing Crick Run Outrunner brushless motor. Do not let the name fool you. Mini 24. This is an 18th scale system. I have watched many videos over this system, and when you try to put it into a 24th scale, the motor and shaft size are too big. You need an aftermarket pinion and an aftermarket motor plate for a 24 scale. So good job on the marketing department. Trying to stay positive, you can run this ESC in anything. A 24 scale, 18 scale, 12 scale Capra if you're feeling froggy. That is the ESC. It is 2 and 3S LiPo compatible. Motor will just connect like such. This will be your battery lead. It also, this is what I find really cool, it also comes with this motor lead as well, with just 2 wires coming off of it, so that you can run this on brush motors as well. Like I said, you can run this in anything that you would want. So before the table gets too messy, clean it up of these little containers. First things first, let us get the stock ESC out of the way, and then we will work on getting the transmission out. Once those 4 screws are out, and just lift up and out. You'll then take these 4 screws off. As well, you will want to take off your drive shaft. After that is off, it seems that you will have to pull some of these gears out to get to the screws for the motor. take the bottom gear out, take this side gear out, and then this side gear out, and there you go. These pinion gears are just press fit on, so let's take something to slide it off the shaft, press fit it back on that, and then just reverse the process. You also want to pay attention to where the wires are and where they're going to be pointing, so they aren't going to get caught in anything or bind anything up. And then we can have a motor comparison. Okay, now to put all this back together. You take the motor and plug it in. Get that semi-situated in there. And now I'm seeing that I hadn't looked too far ahead on this project. And I need to do a couple things before I can run it. We're going to borrow the receiver for my 24 scale. Okay, now I'm ready. It's going to start up, and I believe this is a homing sequence. So you're going to fully pull throttle. The thing that I was getting wrong was the positioning of the throttle when you do the setup. When you first turn this on, it is going to want to do a calibration run where you show the ESC where full throttle and reverse are. But usually when I've ever done it, you do full throttle, full reverse, and then neutral. On this ESC, you will want to do neutral first and then do full throttle and reverse. And after each setting, you will hit the button and it will do what it needs to do. Toss everything in here real quick and show this thing's ready to rock and roll. And look how slow I can get this little guy to go. Yeah. Sorry, I got lost in the sauce in there for a moment. I would get this more secured, but I'm just trying to bench test this real quick. Hello everyone, it's been a while. It's been like a week, and it's the night before the event that I'm going to show this little guy off. But I'm like 95% there, so I thought I'd turn the camera on and show some of my progress. We got the body, but more importantly, we have the chassis. It is all hooked up and ready to go. The only thing that I'm really mad about, Poppy Wing 24th scale system only has, I think this is a PH 2.0 battery connector on it. The only thing I have to run it is this Horizon Hobby branded 2S out of an SCX 24. I wanted to run it up here at the front, but with the way that I'm doing this, it's not going to work. So just real quick, take some Velcro I have laying around, sticker here. I'll have a little side saddle battery action going on, so that'll be good for that. Now to get on to the main star of the attraction is this mount that I made for the chassis. I still wanted to utilize the little key lock system back here in the back. I'll get into that on the body later, but I just really quickly made this up in Fusion, and I'm pretty proud of myself. It only took me 4 prototype iterations to get to a point where I like it. This was a little too tall. This is a little, I don't know how well that's showing up on camera. That is a little hood vent grill that I made, and if you look on the actual body, I had to redesign it. I think that looks sick. That looks really awesome. Yes, there's a big hole here in the front. I don't know why I did that. I still think it looks cool. I mean, I could print another one. And as you can see as well, it goes all the way through. And it bolts into screw holes already built into the body. And then these holes are going to bolt into the frame and also hopefully give me enough space to put a battery up front in the future. So let me take this one off real quick. So I was also showing that this part pivoted. So what I did was took the old key lock system from the Red Cat and just put it on with some spacers and drove through the bed, and she just goes right back on there. The final result will be it will pivot up like such. There we go. That's something I could never get the Red Cat to do. And the last and final thing I want to do, slide this little grill in place. And also, I mean, I would like to use these clear little headlight lenses, but the way that that goes together is it kind of, I go on this side. Yeah, it goes on that side. The way it kind of goes together is it screws into that, but also right behind these two walrus teeth are more screw mounts that I wanted to put a super long screw into to hold all this together and up into the chassis or into the body. But I don't have screws that long, so I was thinking just to have it in these 2 little pegs I were going to super glue in. We're gonna let that dry. I'm going to charge up the batteries. Also, I can't forget this guy either. I'm gonna bring him. I don't know if anyone noticed, but I switched the tires from this guy onto this guy, and I kind of like the look. And this will be my first run of this guy. So we're gonna let that dry. I'll get my batteries charged up, and I will see you guys at like 5 in the morning on Saturday when I have to drive from San Diego to Simi Valley. Yay!